So it all comes down to the fact that I'm using arrays to store these addresses, and those arrays grow without bound. And because we're always going to iterate through the full length of our arrays, we might end up having to spend a tremendous amount of gas just to look up some given address inside the approvers array and the array that keeps track of who has voted on a given request. So now I'm going to look at the solution that I'm going to actually use. And I'm going to go over the right way of writing this code. In order to solve this, we're going to stop using arrays altogether inside of my contract and instead use a slightly different data structure. The data structure that I'm going to use for storing all these addresses, rather than being an array, it will be a mapping. A mapping is a reference type that is available to us inside of Solidity. A mapping is like a collection of key value pairs, so it's similar to a JavaScript object. There are some discrete and definite differences between a mapping and JavaScript object. But why a mapping, and why is that going to solve the problem? Well, it all comes down to search time for each of these data structures. In computer science discipline, whenever we're trying to find some piece of data inside of an array, the best case we can get for running that search is linear time. When we say that search inside of the array is linear time, that means that for every additional record we add to this array, it will take a slightly larger amount of time to execute the search. If we have 100 elements in the array, it might take 100 seconds. In other words, the size of the array dictates how long the search is going to take. So the size of the array dictates how long the search is going to take. That's linear time search. So that is what's going to get you into trouble with gas prices if you go with arrays. All right. So once again, linear search time is the size of the array dictating how long the search is going to take. And that is going to get you into trouble with gas prices if you go with array. The big difference between an array and mapping is that doing a search inside of the mapping is what's called in the computer science discipline constant time. When we say constant time, it means that no matter how many pieces of data we're storing inside that mapping, it's always going to take the same amount of time. So if we have one proposal, it'll take, if we have one address, it'll take 1 second. But if we have 1,000 addresses, it'll only still take 1 second to iterate through these addresses. So clearly, we definitely want to use mapping here. All right, so in a subsequent video, I'm going to go over what mappings are in more detail in comparison to traditional JavaScript object. See you soon.